I want to talk to you about choices. You know, the ones you keep telling me about. Like the day we walked out of the train station and saw children making homes from street corners, and you said, "I'll never understand why people choose to live like this." You told me it was common knowledge, that it's not hard to have a home or find stability, that these kids, they were making choices. They don't want to live by their parents' rules, so they're choosing to run. They're choosing drugs and crime and to dodge the system. They just want to have fun on our taxpayers' money. And I replied that it doesn't look like much fun. I watched them, a girl with a face of 14 and the heartache of 3 lifetimes. Every expectation she hadn't lived up to was etched on her skin. And you were right, she did make a choice. She chose to try harder every time they told her she was useless. She chose not to complain when there was no food in the cupboards and when the drunken shouting kept her up so late she fell asleep in school. She chose to help her mother cover her bruises with makeup, learn stories about running into door handles. But when she was 13 and her baby sister wound up in hospital, she chose to pack a bag and walk out the door. She sleeps out with a friend. On these streets, it pays not to be alone. Now, he didn't choose to leave, but he still made a choice. He chose to sit through church knowing he could never be what they asked him to. He tried to fit a mould that he was never built for. He tried to grasp the shreds of a belief system that spoke to him in foreign tongues, but when he couldn't learn to speak it, because his tongue spoke only of love for the boy next door, and his parents said that he'd made a choice against God, he chose not to argue when they asked him to leave. When these two met, they made choices together. They chose to cope any way they could. They left marks up their arms, railroad tracks they tried to follow to find home. But all they found were broken tunnels and empty stations, and they could never quite scrounge the change to get the next train to somewhere better. But they weren't the last choices they made. That's the thing about choices. You have to keep making them. So they chose to be brave. They chose to get up after every time their feet were knocked out from under them. They chose to keep asking for help after every door that was slammed in their face. They chose jobs, lives, homes, to be the people no one ever told them they could be. And they did it all despite your choice, to write them off as if all choices are easy. We all make choices. Sometimes it's the only thing we can do. And they made the best choice they could. They chose to survive. And that choice, it's nothing short of extraordinary.
Yeah.